Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today, we're going to be tackling something called BizOpsDev.
BizOpsDev.
Yeah, it's BizOpsDev, BizOpsDev.
Okay.
And the reason this caught my eye is, frankly, it sounds like it might be a solution to this age-old disconnect between business needs and IT solutions.
Right.
So we have two sources that we're going to be looking at today.
Okay.
One is a transcript from a YouTube video.
All right.
And this video is called Intro Good Vibes of BizOpsDev.
Interesting.
Already we're getting good vibes, so that's good. And then the second one is a PDF document called BizOpsDev Intro Lab 321.pdf.
Okay.
So let's see if we can decipher what this BizOpsDev thing is all about.
Absolutely. Yeah, from these sources, it seems like this might be a new way of structuring and operating IT teams.
Okay, so first up is this YouTube transcript, and I have to admit, it's a little bit of a wild ride.
Okay.
The speaker jumps around a lot, but their passion for BizOpsDev definitely comes through. It's like they're bursting with ideas and they can't wait to share them all.
It does read a bit like a stream of consciousness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But amidst all the enthusiasm, I think we can extract a few key points.
Okay.
It seems like the video is targeting folks in the business software world or those handling internal IT.
Okay.
Especially for dealing with systems like CRM, BPM, and e-commerce solutions.
Yeah, and they throw out terms like cognitive cloud, code base, and tools, almost like they're insider jargon.
Right.
What do you make of that?
Well, what's fascinating is the speaker seems frustrated with traditional IT approaches.
Yeah.
There's this disconnect where IT departments struggle to keep up with the ever-changing needs of the businesses.
Exactly. And there's this underlying feeling that BizOpsDev is their solution to bridge that gap.
It's like they're saying, forget everything you thought you knew about IT.
Right. There's a better way.
Right.
Thankfully, the second source, the PDF document, seems a little bit more organized.
Okay. Structure is always welcome, especially when exploring uncharted territory.
So the PDF jumps right in with simple goals for corporate IT.
Okay.
And it lists all the things that companies typically want from their IT departments.
Okay.
Improving working conditions, boosting efficiency for users and customers, enhancing communication, reducing costs, all the usual suspects.
Right.
But then it claims that there's a surprisingly simple pattern for achieving all these goals.
Okay. Interesting.
Now you've got my attention.
So that's where the document introduces the essence of practice.
Okay.
This is the core concept of a BizOpsDev team.
Okay.
And picture this, a small cross-functional team composed of both business specialists and IT professionals.
Oh, so that explains the name.
Yes.
Business operations development all rolled into one. It sounds like a real powerhouse unit.
Right. And they operate in one-stop shop mode, meaning they handle all IT issues for their specific business unit.
Oh, so no more bouncing between departments or waiting weeks for a simple fix. I can already see how that would streamline things.
And the document highlights some pretty compelling short-term benefits.
Such as?
It claims this approach leads to faster task execution, laser focus on high-impact projects, and a higher degree of self-sufficiency, meaning the team can solve most issues without calling for backup.
Now, you might be wondering, how does this work in larger companies or those with limited IT resources?
That's a great question.
Could this really scale? Would you need a BizOpsDev team for every single department?
Right.
What about smaller businesses that can't afford to build a whole new team from scratch?
The document anticipates these concerns.
Okay.
And in the Scale Matters section, it suggests for large organizations creating multiple BizOpsDev teams, each dedicated to a specific business unit.
Okay, so like specialized strike teams.
Yes, think of it that way.
Deployed throughout the company.
Yeah, and for smaller businesses or those with limited resources, they propose a team-as-a-service model, which could even involve leveraging external contractors.
Okay, so it's like having a BizOpsDev SWAT team on call.
Right.
Whenever you need them.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's some flexibility built into this model.
Yes.
But I'm still curious, if this BizOpsDev approach is so amazing, why haven't we seen it everywhere?
That's a good question.
What's holding companies back from adopting it?
Well, the document points to a couple of key obstacles.
Okay.
The first is the perception of software development and operation as being unique and mysterious.
Okay.
They argue that many people misunderstand this work, thinking of it more like an artist's studio than a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
And this leads to the second obstacle, the underestimation of the cognitive cloud.
Okay, now that's a term that definitely needs some unpacking.
Yeah.
What exactly is this cognitive cloud? Does it involve actual clouds?
Not quite.
Okay.
The cognitive cloud refers to the collective knowledge, skills, and relationships within the BizOpsDev team.
So it's like the team's collective brain power.
Yeah.
All their combined experience and expertise?
Uh-huh. It's the shared understanding,
Yeah.
the ability to communicate effectively,
Uh-huh.
and the trust that builds over time as they work together.
So it's about having a team that's not just skilled, but also in sync with each other.
Precisely. And the document argues that traditional management often overlooks this crucial aspect. They tend to focus on tools and code as the primary measures of success. But the author suggests that this can be counterproductive.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a problem.
It's like judging a chef solely on the quality of their knives and ignoring their years of culinary experience.
You could have the fanciest tools and the most elegant code, but if the team isn't functioning effectively, it's all for nothing.
The cognitive cloud is the foundation upon which everything else is built.
Okay.
Without it, the team can't leverage their tools or their code effectively to achieve the desired outcomes.
Okay.
And this brings us to another key concept.
Okay.
Greenfield versus brownfield.
Greenfield versus brownfield. Okay. I'm intrigued. Break it down for me. What's the difference?
Greenfield refers to starting from scratch,
Okay.
building a new system without any legacy code or pre-existing infrastructure to worry about.
So it's like building a house on a completely empty lot.
Exactly.
Okay.
Brownfield, on the other hand, is the more common scenario where you're dealing with existing systems, often with a lot of baggage attached.
So like renovating an old house with quirks and surprises hidden behind every wall.
Precisely.
Okay. So which scenario does this BizOpsDev model work best in?
The document seems to focus primarily on the brownfield situation, acknowledging that most companies are grappling with complex interconnected systems they can't simply abandon. They propose a solution that involves using auto tests and asynchronous integration with a minimal coding base.
Hold on. There are a couple more terms that need unpacking.
All right.
What exactly do they mean by auto tests?
Auto tests are essentially automated scripts that test different parts of the software to ensure everything is working as expected.
So it's like having a built-in quality control system.
Yes.
Constantly monitoring and correcting any issues before they become major problems.
That's the idea.
Okay. And asynchronous integration.
Refers to the way different parts of the system communicate with each other.
Okay.
It allows for a more flexible and resilient architecture, where changes in one part don't automatically trigger a domino effect throughout the entire system.
So it's about creating a more loosely coupled system that can adapt and evolve without breaking down every time something changes.
Exactly.
Okay. And that ties into the concept of a minimal code base.
Yes.
The idea is to keep the code as simple and streamlined as possible, which makes it easier to understand, test, and maintain.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to get a clearer picture of how these technical elements fit into the overall BizOpsDev approach. But before we dive deeper into the specifics, I want to come back to that visual aid in the PDF. It shows 3 circles, cognitive cloud, code base, and tools. What's the significance of that diagram?
That diagram perfectly encapsulates the BizOpsDev philosophy. It highlights the ideal situation where the cognitive cloud, representing the team's collective intelligence and expertise, fully encompasses both the code base and tools.
So it's not just about having the right tools or writing elegant code. It's about having a team that understands how to use those tools. And that code effectively to achieve the desired business outcomes.
Exactly.
And the document suggests that achieving this ideal state, especially in a brownfield situation with legacy code, requires regaining control of the code base, and they see auto tests as playing a crucial role in that process. All right. I'm really starting to see how this BizOpsDev approach could be a game changer for companies struggling with their existing IT structures. We've covered a lot of ground already, but there's still so much more to explore.
Absolutely.
Before we move on, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned so far. What are some of the key takeaways that stand out to you?
We've encountered a potentially revolutionary way of organizing IT built around these small cross-functional BizOpsDev teams. It emphasizes collective intelligence, collaboration, and agility, with a strong focus on the cognitive cloud as the most important element. It's about bridging the gap between business needs and IT solutions in a holistic one-stop shop kind of way.
Absolutely. And we've touched on the challenges of implementing this model in different scenarios, particularly in those brownfield situations where legacy code can create roadblocks. But there's this underlying sense of optimism.
Yes.
A feeling that BizOpsDev could be the key to unlocking shrewd digital transformation and creating a more effective and fulfilling work environment for everyone.
Right. And while we've delved into the technical aspects, I'm curious to explore this concept of good vibes.
That's a great point.
How does that factor into the BizOpsDev equation?
It seems like there's more to BizOpsDev than just efficiency and productivity. It's also about creating a positive and supportive work environment where people feel valued and empowered.
Exactly.
But we'll have to save that discussion for the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive into BizOpsDev. Let's pick up where we left off and explore this idea of good vibes.
Yes, that intriguing phrase, good vibes, it really stuck with me.
Right.
It suggests that BizOpsDev isn't just about cold hard efficiency, but also about creating a positive and enjoyable work environment.
Exactly. The good vibes concept hints at a deeper philosophy behind BizOpsDev. It's about fostering a culture of collaboration, respect, and shared ownership, which can lead to a more engaged and productive team.
So it's like the difference between a group of individuals working in isolation versus a true team that's united by a common purpose and a sense of camaraderie.
Right, when people feel connected to their work and to each other, when they feel valued and empowered, they're more likely to go the extra mile and achieve those ambitious goals.
And that positive energy, those good vibes, they can be contagious.
Absolutely.
It can spread throughout the team, the business unit, even the entire organization.
It creates a virtuous cycle where success breeds more success, and everyone feels motivated to contribute their best.
But let's not forget the practicalities.
Right.
We were talking about the challenges of implementing BizOpsDev in a brownfield scenario with existing legacy systems. The document suggests using auto tests and asynchronous integration with a minimal code base.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on how those technical elements contribute to those good vibes?
Certainly. Remember those auto tests we discussed, those automated scripts constantly checking for errors?
Yeah.
Well, they not only ensure quality control, but also create a sense of psychological safety for the team.
Interesting. How so?
Think about it. When you know that there's a safety net catching any potential errors, you're more likely to experiment, to try new things, to be creative without fear of breaking something.
That makes sense.
It takes some of the pressure off and allows people to focus on innovation rather than constantly worrying about making mistakes.
And this ties into the concept of asynchronous integration.
Exactly.
By creating a more loosely coupled system where changes in one area don't have a ripple effect throughout the entire code base.
Right.
You reduce the risk of those catastrophic failures that can send stress levels soaring.
Exactly.
Right? No one wants to be the person who accidentally crashes the entire system because they changed a single line of code.
That's a surefire way to kill any good vibes.
Yeah.
Asynchronous integration allows for more modularity and flexibility.
Okay.
Which means the team can work on different parts of the system concurrently without constantly tripping over each other.
So it's like having different teams working on different floors of a building.
Yes.
They can all make progress without worrying about accidentally knocking down a load-bearing wall.
Exactly, and that brings us to the concept of a minimal code base.
Okay, why is that so important, especially in a brownfield scenario?
Well, imagine inheriting a house where every room is crammed full of furniture.
Yeah.
Gadgets and knickknacks collected over decades. It would be overwhelming, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know where to start, and you'd be afraid to move anything for fear of upsetting the delicate balance.
Exactly.
Right.
A bloated code base is like that.
Okay.
It's full of legacy code, redundant functions, and convoluted logic that can be incredibly difficult to understand and maintain. It's a breeding ground for frustration and errors.
So a minimal code base is like decluttering that house.
Precisely.
Getting rid of all the unnecessary stuff and creating a more clean and functional space.
By streamlining the code, making it more concise and readable, you make it easier for everyone to understand how it works.
Okay.
This reduces the cognitive load on the team,
Wow.
which in turn frees up their mental energy for more creative and strategic tasks.
So it's like clearing out the mental clutter so you can focus on the things that really matter.
Exactly. And that clarity and simplicity can contribute to a more positive and enjoyable work experience.
Okay. I'm really starting to see how all these technical elements, the auto tests, the asynchronous integration, the minimal code base, they all contribute to creating those good vibes.
Yes.
By fostering a more collaborative, less stressful, and ultimately more fulfilling work environment.
And don't forget the human element.
Right.
Building a successful BizOpsDev team requires more than just technical skills.
Okay.
It also requires strong communication, problem-solving abilities, and a willingness to learn and adapt.
So it's about finding those special individuals who can not only write code,
Yes.
but also communicate, effectively collaborate with others, and embrace the challenges of a constantly evolving work environment.
It's about finding people who thrive in that kind of dynamic and collaborative setting.
All right.
People who are energized by solving problems together rather than working in isolation.
It sounds like you're describing a dream team.
But I imagine it's not always easy to find those individuals, especially in today's competitive job market.
Right. Building a high-performing BizOpsDev team takes time and effort.
You need to recruit carefully.
Okay.
Provide the right training and support, and foster a culture that values collaboration and continuous learning.
And that brings us back to the cognitive cloud.
Yes.
The document emphasizes the importance of this shared knowledge base and the need to nurture it.
The cognitive cloud is the heart of a BizOpsDev team.
Okay.
It's the collective intelligence, the shared understanding, the trust and camaraderie that allows the team to function effectively.
But how do you actually cultivate that cognitive cloud?
That's a great question.
Is it something that just happens organically, or are there specific strategies or techniques that companies can use?
I think it's a combination of factors. It starts with assembling the right team.
Okay.
People who are not only skilled, but also share a common vision and a collaborative mindset. Then you need to create an environment where knowledge sharing and open communication are encouraged and rewarded.
So it's about creating a culture where people feel comfortable asking questions,
Exactly.
sharing their ideas,
Yes.
and learning from each other's mistakes.
And it's about providing opportunities for team members to interact and learn from each other, both formally and informally. Think about things like regular team meetings, brainstorming sessions, knowledge-sharing workshops, even just casual conversations over coffee.
It's about creating a sense of community where everyone feels like they're part of something bigger than themselves.
Precisely. And that sense of belonging, of shared purpose, is a key ingredient in those good vibes that we keep coming back to.
Okay, I'm really starting to appreciate the depth and complexity of this BizOpsDev approach.
Good.
It's not just about restructuring teams or adopting new technologies.
Right.
It's about creating a whole new way of working, a culture that values collaboration, continuous learning, and yes, those good vibes.
And while the document primarily focuses on implementing BizOpsDev in a brownfield scenario with existing legacy systems, I think the principles behind it, the emphasis on the cognitive cloud and those good vibes, are applicable regardless of your industry or role.
That's a great point. It makes you wonder if this BizOpsDev model could be applied beyond IT.
That's an interesting thought.
Could we see BizOpsDev marketing teams?
Yeah.
BizOpsDev sales teams, or even BizOpsDev leadership teams?
Now, there's a thought-provoking idea. Imagine breaking down silos across the entire organization.
Wow.
Creating a network of interconnected cross-functional teams all working together with that good vibes energy.
The possibilities are intriguing, aren't they?
Yes.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Right.
Before we explore those broader implications, let's come back to the specific challenges of implementing BizOpsDev in a real-world setting.
Right.
What are some of the obstacles that companies might face when trying to adopt this approach?
One of the biggest challenges is likely to be cultural.
Okay.
Breaking down silos between business and IT and fostering a truly collaborative environment can be difficult, especially in organizations with deeply ingrained hierarchies and traditional mindsets.
Right. It's not just about rearranging organizational charts.
No.
It's about changing how people think and interact. It might require some significant adjustments to leadership styles.
Yes.
Communication patterns and decision-making processes.
Indeed. And there's also the challenge of finding the right people with the necessary skills and mindset to thrive in this type of environment.
Okay.
It requires individuals who are not only technically proficient, but also possess strong communication skills, a collaborative spirit, and a willingness to step outside their comfort zones.
That's almost like searching for unicorns.
But I imagine the benefits of finding those right people and cultivating that collaborative culture would far outweigh the challenges.
Absolutely. When you have a team that's firing on all cylinders, that's aligned around a common purpose, and energized by those good vibes, the results can be truly remarkable.
But let's be realistic.
Okay.
Not every company is going to be able to create that perfect BizOpsDev utopia overnight.
Right.
What advice would you give to organizations that are just starting to explore this approach?
I think the most important thing is to start small and iterate.
Okay.
Don't try to boil the ocean. Identify a specific business unit or project where BizOpsDev principles could be applied.
Right.
And pilot the approach there. Learn from your mistakes, adapt as you go, and gradually expand your efforts as you gain confidence and momentum.
So it's about taking a pragmatic, step-by-step approach rather than trying to implement a wholesale transformation all at once.
Exactly. And it's crucial to have buy-in from leadership and across the organization to ensure success.
Yes.
BizOpsDev can't be imposed from above.
Right.
It needs to be embraced by everyone involved.
It's about creating a movement, a groundswell of enthusiasm for this new way of working.
And that's where those good vibes come in. When people see the positive results, when they experience the benefits of collaboration and shared ownership, they become advocates for the approach.
It's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Where the positive energy and momentum keep building as more and more people buy into the BizOpsDev philosophy.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
Yes.
We're not just talking about a new way of organizing IT.
No.
We're talking about a potential paradigm shift in how we think about work itself.
I love that. It's about moving beyond the old siloed hierarchical models and embracing a more fluid, collaborative, and ultimately more human-centered way of working.
And who knows, maybe this BizOpsDev approach could even spark a broader cultural transformation, not just within individual companies, but across entire industries and sectors.
Now, that's a truly inspiring thought. But before we get carried away with those grand visions, let's bring it back to the here and now. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, exploring the theoretical underpinnings, the practical challenges, and the potential benefits of this BizOpsDev approach.
Right.
But we're not quite finished yet. In our final segment, we'll synthesize all of this information and discuss what it means for the future of IT and perhaps for the future of work itself. Stay with us.
Okay, we're back for our final segment here talking about BizOpsDev.
Yes.
We've gone through the what, the why, and the how of this whole thing. But now for the million-dollar question.
Right.
What does this all mean for the future of IT?
Yeah.
And maybe even the future of work itself?
BizOpsDev could represent a significant shift in how companies approach IT.
Okay.
It challenges those long-standing silos between business units and IT departments.
Okay.
Advocating for a more integrated and collaborative model. It's not about throwing technology at a problem. It's about people working together to find the best solutions.
It really feels like a breath of fresh air, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We've all experienced the frustration of dealing with IT departments that seem so out of touch with the realities of the business.
Right.
But BizOpsDev seems to want to change that by bringing everyone to the same table.
Yes.
And speaking the same language.
Absolutely. The potential here is enormous.
Yeah.
We could be on the cusp of a true digital transformation where technology empowers people rather than becoming another source of frustration.
Right.
It's not just about adopting new tools. It's about changing the way we work.
Okay.
To become more agile, more responsive, and in tune with what the business actually needs.
You know, this whole conversation has me thinking.
Okay.
Could this good vibes philosophy extend beyond IT? We've talked about how it fosters collaboration and innovation within teams.
Right.
But could it be applied to other areas of an organization?
It's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
Like imagine
a company where those good vibes permeate every department.
Wow.
Marketing, sales, finance,
Yeah.
even leadership.
A company where everyone feels empowered to contribute their best.
Yeah.
Where collaboration is the norm and where innovation flourishes.
That sounds like a pretty amazing place to work.
But let's be realistic for a moment.
Okay.
Is there a chance that this could just become another buzzword?
Right.
A management fad that fades away after a few years?
Yeah, that's a valid concern.
What makes me optimistic about BizOpsDev is that it's grounded in practical principles and real-world experience.
Okay.
It's not some theoretical framework cooked up in an ivory tower.
Right.
It's born from the trenches, from people who have faced these challenges and found ways to overcome them.
It's like they've taken the best practices from high-performing teams and distilled them into a repeatable model.
Exactly. It's not about magic.
Yeah.
It's about creating the right conditions for success.
And what's particularly compelling to me is the focus on the human element.
Yeah.
That cognitive cloud.
Right.
It recognizes that technology is only as good as the people using it. It's about fostering collaboration, communication, and continuous learning.
Yeah.
Not just implementing the latest tools.
It's about empowering people to be creative, to experiment, to solve problems together.
Right.
It's a reminder that true innovation comes from human ingenuity, not from machines.
And that's where those good vibes come back into play.
Right.
When you create a positive and supportive work environment
Yeah.
where people feel valued and respected, you unlock their potential for innovation and excellence.
It's about building a culture
Yes.
where everyone is excited to come to work,
Uh-huh.
where they feel a sense of ownership and purpose.
Yeah.
That kind of energy is contagious, and it can lead to amazing results.
So for our listener, what can they take away from this deep dive into BizOpsDev?
Keep an eye on BizOpsDev.
Okay.
It has the potential to be more than just a fleeting trend. It could represent a fundamental shift in how we approach work technology and collaboration in the years to come.
Okay.
It might not be the answer for every organization,
Right.
but the principles behind it, the focus on collaboration, the cognitive cloud, and those good vibes are worth considering regardless of your industry or role.
I love that. It's a call to action, to challenge the status quo.
Yes.
To think differently and to explore new ways of working that might unlock greater potential within our organizations.
Right.
It's about recognizing the power of collaboration and the importance of creating a positive and supportive work environment.
Precisely. And remember those intriguing questions we posed earlier.
Yeah.
Could we see BizOpsDev applied beyond the realm of IT?
Right.
Could we see BizOpsDev marketing teams, BizOpsDev sales teams, or even BizOpsDev leadership teams?
Yeah.
Perhaps those are questions you can ponder as you explore these concepts further.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We encourage you to delve deeper into the good vibes, the BizOpsDev podcast.
Yes.
And to share your thoughts, questions, and experiences with us. We'd love to hear your perspectives on this exciting and potentially transformative approach to work. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of BizOpsDev.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those good vibes flowing.